Hi friends, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Wawa. I'm a bookish person and also a business analyst based here in KL. I make bookish video, I make productivity video, I talk about project management and also sometimes a life update here and there. So today I am going to talk about a book that heals my grief and makes me wholesome at the same time, which is called The Collected Regrets of Clover by Mickey Bremer. If you're new here, this is how I structure my book review. First, I'll talk about the book cover, the appreciations of the book cover, the efforts that they have done on the book cover, and then I'll talk about what I like and what I don't like about the book. Usually it's non-spoilery thoughts. If there is any spoilery thoughts, I'll let you know, but in this video there is none. And then I will jump right into the overall rating and anything that is highlighted in the book that I like and what I can learn from it as well. Alright, let's get to it. I have to be honest, at this point of making this kind of book review, giving appreciations to the book cover, I realize that I'm a sucker of a pretty book cover. Who doesn't? And the main reason I picked it up is because it's so cute. I feel like there's a light vibe to it, spring, happy vibe to it, a little sense of adventure because there's flowers, there's map, and then there's scroll, pieces of the scroll. And if you look at it carefully, at the back of the scroll is a pieces of map of Brooklyn, New York, Hudson. It gives me a sense that okay, this story might be set in America, and then the drop of ink makes me feel like, oh, this is academic. It must be a lot of writing happening in this. Could it be that the characters is a writer and also an adventurer? Yeah, it's very cute, very promising, but there's also the dark side of it, which is the title that says Collected Regrets. So it makes me wonder, a lot has gone into my mind. I'm thinking, oh, is it a regret of not following a dream or a regret of taking a path that you always wanted but you didn't, or something about death or loss. So with the title written on the pieces of the scroll, the academic view and academic vibe of it makes me just want to pick it up right away. So appreciations to the book cover, brilliant and beautiful. Alright, jumping right into the summary. The story is about a woman named Clover who is an orphan. When she was 6 or 7, her parents died and her grandfather took her in, and she grew up studying abroad. She traveled to Asia, Cambodia to be specific, and while she was there, her grandfather died, and she didn't have the chance to meet him and be with him throughout that transition. So with that incident, it inspired her to be a death doula. Death doula, what is that, you may ask? So death doula is a profession of a person who help guide someone who is dying into what's next for them. And during this transition, death doula will make sure that the dying person feel comfortable and feel less scared and easing themselves into the death, into the afterlife. So as you can imagine, Clover's life is surrounded by death, and with that, a lot of scenes while she was having this client named Claudia who was dying. That's the beginning of her adventure into exploring a living life, exploring things that are outside of her comfort zone, and facing her trauma, and even learn to fall in love. So this book explores and has a lot of death scene, reflections of her experiences with dying people. We explore her own trauma as well, also not that tragic the way it was written, and we also have a peek into her journey of healing and also learning to relive her life again. So while she's learning how to live, I'm learning with her and I'm with her in that journey. So right into what I really like about this book. As you can tell from my book notes here, the gazillions post-it note. Gazillion tab here, right? So I have a lot of annotations done on the paper. I don't usually annotate on my books because I love them, but I just couldn't help it with this book, and I gave up of using post-it notes, and then I was just underlining things because there's a lot of things that I want to remember. There's a lot of things that are relatable, so there's definitely a lot to process, to simmer in, to take away with this book, because I have a lot that I love about it. So when it comes to the language, it's definitely easy to read, given that it uses easily modern language, quite straightforward, whilst also having a bunch of beautiful quotes in it. I love how the gentle story weaves in about the grief. It's not necessarily just about grieving over death. It's also grieving about betrayal of a friendship, broken relationships, a trust issue, and all around the sad themes. And I like the writing style. It is very emotional but also soothing at the same time. If I were to compare this book with other book that I've read earlier this year that deals with death and grief, I went to see my father, Exit West, The Coffee Gets Cold. The themes around this book are about loss and grief, but the words used in the writing style are very heavy. It's very dark. So although the collective regrets of Clover explore the same themes, it still has the element that tugs your heart, but it makes you feel wholesome at the end of it for some reason. So I love how the plot twists with the love story. Okay, I don't feel forced to fall in love in this story. I don't feel like it's too cliche. As if you know me, I don't really like to read romance book, but this book is reflecting an actual real life situation, so it's not cliche. The uncertainties, the pressure, the butterflies of feeling you're falling in love with someone feels very natural and not too much. So it's like a light rom-com vibes, but it's not too cringy. So I love how the author also maps out and makes all the characters intertwined to each other. They are all connected to each other. For some reason, they were just hooked to each other, and all these are without me expecting it. And I felt like I could guess what's gonna happen. Oh, this person is gonna be with this person. Oh, this person is gonna meet this person and feel this way. But it took me pages after pages to realize that no, that's not gonna happen. And there's a hint already revealed earlier, and now I can see it. Only now I can see it. And I just feel like, oh, I should have noticed that hint earlier. Like, oh, I should have. So it's fun to read through this book. I love the girls' friendship in this too. I love women friendship in books. I know it exists, it's just that it's not accessible to me. So when there's girl friendship scene in a book, and I get very excited. I love to see people who are from the opposite personalities, interests, can actually find something in common and learn to love the differences. I love to see when there's someone different than you, try to learn that about that person more, and then stays in the friendship. I have been and I have seen friendships that do not work out just because you do not think, you do not look, you do not see, you do not feel or do or say the same thing as what they expect you to be doing. So you can find a middle ground, and then you're just being punished for it, and then they move on to another friendship. But in this book, I love how the character creates this conflict and solves it in a way that friendship and acceptance can happen at the same time. And also, it's not that cliche, so it's believable. The only trade-off from it is the ego. You're putting aside ego so that you can save the friendship. So nobody sacrifices their dream, nobody stops doing what they love, but they get to keep the friendship. So I really enjoy reading and seeing how Clover and her friend grow in her friendship, and they stick together although they had a conflict and then issues, and they find ways to solve the problem and found ways to be together again. So I love the atmosphere in this book as well, although the majority of it involves around the main character, our main girl Clover. She loves to read and journal. So you guessed it, there's a scene of her in a big library at home, belongs to her grandpa, and then her grandpa is actually a scientist, a professor. So there's a lot of books in, a lot of textbook, old journals, and then she also visit her bookstore. There's descriptions of a bookstore in New York that she has been since she was 6, and I even got the ideas of ways of journaling. And the best part of it is that she keeps so many journals, and Clover has 4 types of journals that she 3 types of journals that she keep as a lot of her learning of being a death doula. So she take notes from the people, and she named each the areas of the notes as one is regret, second is advice, and the third one is confession. So this is where I feel that it feels like an academic experience as what the book cover promised me. So as I read this book, I feel like I'm also learning with her as I go. There's a lot of field trip that there's only one field trip that she went, and this one field trip she learned about herself. She learned about dealing with her trauma, and she take note of it. She does researches, and she do a lot of reflections of the situation, and then she become a new person in those experiences. I love it. I totally love all this seen in a book. There's one new journal that was introduced to her. It was gifted to her as an idea, and I'm not going to spoil it. You have to read it to find out what is it about. There's a lot of quotes that I love from this book. There's a lot actually. So one of it is, it's always hard to acknowledge this moment, to look someone in the eye and affirm that their entire existence was coming to an end. Yeah, it's really hard to know for the fact that your sick loved ones are not getting any better and won't heal from the sickness, yet you have to be there for them, affirm that things are going to be okay, are going to be smooth, will be less pain, and you yourself have to stay positive, pretty much as how I've been through with my dad and my cat when they are nearing to death. The second quote is, the truth is grief never really goes away. Someone told me once that it's like a bag that you always carry. It starts out as a large suitcase, but you carry it forever. It may sound or may not sound cliche to you, but it does make sense to me, as what I've written in my newsletter last week. If you read it, I have a newsletter called Field Notes, and if you want to subscribe, here they are somewhere on screen. And with all the things that happening with me at this point, this year feels like it has lasted like 100 years. Every month since the start of 2025, there's something bad that happens, and it feels like it's never gonna end. So although I hate the months goes by, it feels like I'm drifting away from the people that I love who's no longer here. And at the same time, I feel so exhausted with the pain. I just want it to end. So with all this journey, still new, but I can feel that this large suitcase is going to be with me, is what I'm gonna carry throughout my life. And yeah, despite that, I'm so ready to move on to another month and start something new while hanging on and carrying the suitcase. Only that the baggage feels very heavy right now, very heavy here. So it's slowly going lighter, I'm sure, with time. That just means that I just have to learn how to carry it in my heart, how to carry it in my life. Yeah, and following to that scene, there's also a nice advice from Clover about how to get over grief. She's been living with grief all her life, and there's one scene, I can't tell you what, but with living with grief, you can learn how to get over it by writing a letter. So, end line in the book says, it looks like he responded to her, asking her to change her mind, but he never actually sent it. I wonder why. And the response to that was, maybe just writing these letters gave him closure. It's the same as what my therapist said to me when I had my session with her in March. Writing has proven to be the best way to deal with emotion and coping with your emotion. So, if you feel sad, if you need to cope with life, just get a book, get a piece of paper, just write it down, put it away, keep it in a box, or you can just throw it away. Yeah. Okay, do I have mixed feelings about this book? Yes, I do. Not a lot. I wish there were more scenes of her grandpa and herself in this book, given that she has to overcome her trauma of losing her grandfather. And the weird thing is that she doesn't talk about her parents that much. I've seen like this one movie called Queen Gambit. She lost her family when she lost her mother when she was 6 years old. There will be a scene that she will look back to remember who her mother was. But in this book, she only talks about her grandpa, and I wanted to know more about it, why it was not explored, and why the relationship with her and grandfather was not mentioned much. Like, is there very less memory? I just wanted to know more, and because I feel like the grandfather is an interesting person with his job as a professor, academic, and yet a lot of love story were mentioned. There's a lot of people loving this person and then loving that person, so I just feel a bit too much at times. Overall, this is a romance book, adult fiction genre heavy, I feel. So it's not surprising that there's a lot of romance discussed or mentioned in each of the character. There's a lot. It's just that it's a lot of secret romances of this and that couple, and I just feel bored. At times, I'm not learning anything. But I found that there's a way for me to look into something else that I could learn from this book. So, overall rating for this book, still a strong 4 out of 5. So I love the easy writing. I love that it's not too heavy. I love that she explore grief in a very soothing way, making me feel ease, making me feel that is grief, death is not something different than living or being alive. Is part of being alive. That's what makes you be alive, feel that you're living. So it's a big 4 for me. Next month, I am going to read another book called The Lantern of Lost Memories by Sanaka Miragi. I bought that book together with this, and I think it has the same theme. I've not read reviews on this yet, but it says here that the book is about a collector of antiques. This man owns a studio where the dead people can visit the place to find one memory to relive it for one last time before they step into the afterlife. Was it the dead people, or was it just people who are dying? I wasn't sure, but I'm gonna find out that soon. There's 3 short stories in this petite book. Not sure if they are related to one another, but I think it's quite similar to Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I'm very excited to read this. I am going to read it in my next trip to Johor. I'm gonna have a road trip tomorrow. I'm gonna bring this book and I'm gonna read it there. And I'm excited to learn something from it as well, and I report back in my next book club review. And thank you for hanging out with me in my corner of my book nook. If you like this video, please like and share, and also subscribe to this channel because it means a lot for me to grow my little corner on the internet. And I'm also aiming to hit 100 by my birthday, which is actually this month. Alright, see you next time. Bye bye.